Hey guys, what's up? It's finally time for me to talk about Shin Megami Tensei 5. Now, as usual, I'm gonna break down this video talking first about the positive things and then about the negative things. And oh boy, I do have a lot to say about this game. So let's begin! Alright, let's start with the positive things of this game. This is a game that I've been hyping for a long time, for years. A game that was announced all the way back to 2017. So we waited a long time, us fans of Shin Megami Tensei, to meet this excellent game. Yes, that's right, this is an amazing game. I loved it. It's great and I strongly recommend it. The one thing that made me so happy about this game is that they did not fail the formula. The original formula that's been there for many years, for decades. The demon recruitment is as awesome as usual. The demon fusion is as awesome as usual. The battle system is excellent. And thank goodness this game does not have random encounters. Because if there's one thing the entire Shin Megami Tensei series is known for, is for being really hard. All of these games are hard. Which means they're all grind fests, which means sometimes when you're navigating through the dungeons or the areas and getting into random encounters with games like this can be pretty annoying, but we'll get to that later. First and foremost, the game's gameplay mechanics are top notch. Now the story is great. It doesn't have a lot of dialogue, a lot of filler dialogue, unnecessary dialogue. You know, some JRPGs nowadays have tons of dialogue, tons of conversation. They have you reading almost half of the time, right? Not Shin Megami Tensei 5. This is 70% gameplay, 30% story, and that 30% story is amazing. It gets to the point. It doesn't screw around with nonsensical dialogue, no filler dialogue whatsoever. 90% of what they say in this game, or what the characters say and do, even in the side quests, just feels rich, feels important to the plot. So the story in this game is amazing. And Jesus, the music, oh man, the music is a masterpiece. One of my favorite composers of all time, Ryota Kosuka, is back. He also did the music on Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse. What a musical genius. At the beginning, some of the first songs you hear in this game are kind of forgettable. I'm sorry, I can't even remember them, but as soon as the battle system starts, oh man, what an incredibly great battle theme. And then some boss battle themes, and then some special battle themes. It's just all the battle themes in this game are excellent. So in terms of music, gameplay, battle system, the demon fusion, demon mechanics, and the music, this game as usual did not disappoint. One feature that I absolutely love, that I think it's extremely fantastic, is the essence fusion. In this game you can manually acquire other demons' skills by using the essence fusion. Of course you gotta acquire somehow by buying them or by finding them somewhere or by completing certain quests. You gotta acquire these demons' essences. Once you do that, you can grab those skills to your convenience and add them to your other characters, your other demons, or your main character. And man, with a hard game like this, that's really useful. Because Shin Megami Tensei is all about, and I mean it, all about the strengths and weaknesses, the buffs and debuffs. Those four things are extremely important, and with a feature like this, the Essence Fusion, man, it pretty much promotes the game's strategic values and makes things easier. Now about the random encounters, I'm someone who grew up with tons of RPGs, with tons of random encounters, and some of those RPGs are among my personal favorites. And I love some of the Shin Megami Tensei games with random encounters too. But not seeing random encounters in this game was a total breath of fresh air, and I just love that. I love how quickly you can move with the character, going wherever you want, just running at really high speed, anywhere you want, with no random encounters. Sure, there are some areas that are infested with demons, a lot of areas like that, but it's not really hard to evade them, not really hard to dodge these enemies and go on your own way if you want to. So that free exploration is a huge positive, at least for someone like me. Now, the game is not an open world, no sir, but it does have some small open world features, which means thanks to this exploration in some of the areas, you get to do whatever you want. You explore every single corner if you want to. There's a lot of side content in there, a lot of secrets, items, characters, demons, you name it. You can do whatever you want in this game, so that was a great decision to include some really small open world features in this game. Overall, in terms of gameplay mechanics, this game is excellent. Now let's talk about the negative stuff in this game. Actually, there's only one major complaint about it, and two things that I want to say that are not really that relevant. The first not so relevant thing is that the graphics are great, the game looks absolutely beautiful, but every now and then it can have some frame drop issues. There's a lot of loading times in this game, and it's 2021, that's kind of unacceptable. It didn't bug me personally, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna bug a lot of people. Most of the loading screens are like 3 or 5 seconds long, no big deal, but even so, it's still kind of annoying. The one and only complaint that I have about this game, and it's a complaint I have for the most part in the entire series, is the RNG. Oh boy, yeah, the games are known for being hard, and that's great. This is actually one of the very few games that I enjoy being hard. I complained about several RPGs before, but not because they were hard, but because they were hard and frustrating, hard and boring, hard and unappealing. Nothing kept me going, so I quit. This is one of those games where it's hard, it kicks my ass, but it makes me keep going no matter what, because it's such an amazing game. This is a really good, hard game, in my opinion. But the RNG can sometimes screw you over completely. I don't like the fact that, sure, the game doesn't have random encounters, you can see the demons in there, but I don't like the fact that sometimes when you approach them, even if they haven't noticed you're there, if you don't ambush them from behind, if you blindside them, or if you go up right in front of them, sometimes you gotta use the slash, your sword, you know, to start the battle, right? Or just simply to make contact. But sometimes, even when that happens, the enemy starts. It's like they ambush you, and when you get ambushed in a Shin Megami Tensei game, dude, sometimes might as well reset the freaking game, because it's almost a guaranteed game over, especially if the RNG screws you over in battle, which means if the enemies for some reason get a critical attack, get a second turn, and if there's like 4 enemies in the battlefield, or 5, the RNG is always like this. It's pure luck in certain circumstances, especially when you make contact with the enemies. Even with random encounters, it doesn't matter, you know, it's pure luck, it's completely random. And I know a lot of you Shin Megami Tensei fans are gonna say, but that's always been the Shin Megami Tensei franchise. Well, that's one thing I don't like about the entire franchise, and I was hoping they could get rid of that in this particular game. Well, they didn't, and that pissed me off to no end with some regular enemy fights. But very fortunately, unlike other Shin Megami Tensei games, there's a lot of save points, and it's so easy to go back to those save points, reload your save data, and be more careful from now on. Now, you may have noticed the title of this video says, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is not what you think. First and foremost, a lot of people are saying this game is perfect for beginners. I disagree a little bit on that. I think the game is very hard, which is a good thing because they were trying to keep the real, pure formula, the classic formula of the series alive, making the games hard. I mean, it wouldn't be a Shin Megami Tensei game if it wasn't hard, right? However, I think the game might be too hard for beginners. The game has 3 default difficulty settings: easy, normal, and hard. But this game, being a Shin Megami Tensei game, doesn't really have a real easy mode. Sure, there's a DLC you can download for free called the Safer mode. I don't know about that, I didn't download it and I didn't try it. So I don't know if it makes the game really easy, because in casual mode, the only difference between casual mode and normal mode that I noticed, because I tried both modes, is that your characters do more damage, but everything else is like the same. There's almost no difference between casual and normal. It's just as hard. Which leads me to say there are other Shin Megami Tensei games with an easy mode that it's actually friendly, more balanced, less hard than this. But to each their own, that's just my opinion. A lot of people will recommend this game for beginners. Okay, because if you are a hardcore gamer, and if you're looking for a hardcore entrance to the series, then yes, this might be perfect. And another thing that I want to say is that I believe the constant comparisons of some people to the Persona series, specifically to Persona 5, are just straight out ridiculous. You can't compare this game to Persona 5. I mean, sure, they are part of the same series, but Persona went its own way a long time ago. It became its own series. Sure, in terms of gameplay mechanics, they share a lot of similarities. There's Demon Fusion. Well, in Persona, it's called Persona Fusion. There's that. The Creature Fusion, let's call it that. The Demon Negotiation, the whatever. You know what I mean. They share some similarities, but they are not the same games. Honestly, it's like comparing this to this. I mean, sure, they are part of the same series. The Nier series started as a Drakengard spin-off. But now, thanks to this game in particular, the series went its own way and it's something different. They still share some similarities, but they have to be treated differently, I believe. Persona 5 is a school simulator, a life simulator, so in terms of most of its gameplay mechanics are vastly different from Shin Megami Tensei, which means comparing these two games is just dumb. All you guys are doing, if you are a Persona fan only and you don't know Shin Megami Tensei, all you're doing is creating an even bigger rift between this fanbase and this fanbase. So in conclusion, in my opinion, saying Shin Megami Tensei 5 is like Persona, or it isn't like Persona. I mean, Persona shouldn't even be mentioned, and I'm already regretting mentioning Persona in this video. But you get the idea. So don't do that, please. Get yourself informed. I have a video on the story of Shin Megami Tensei, the whole series, in only 12 minutes, and I'm gonna leave that in the description below. And I want to say one last thing before we leave, and is that I know I've mentioned this before, I know some of you already know this, but I have to say this. Atlus refused to give me a code, a review code, so I bought the physical version of this game. I was going to do that anyway, but either way, they gave the code to a lot of JRPG channels, not me, even though I sent 3 emails to different emails, and they pretty much ignored me. I tweeted them, they ignored me. They refused to give me a code. So it might be because they don't think my channel is great for reviews, because I don't really do reviews that often, or because someone in the Atlus PR being the division that's in charge of giving codes to YouTubers, hates me. So if that's the case, and someone in the Atlus PR hates me, to that particular person I only have one thing to say. Go to hell, motherfucker.